Well, on Thursday, a federal high court in Kano nullified the reinstatement of Muhammadu Sanusi II as the 16th Emir of Kano. The court also invalidated all actions taken following the controversial reinstatement. Now, presiding Judge Justice Abdullahi Liman declared, and I quote, "I hereby order that every step taken by the government is hereby nullified and becomes null and invalid. This does not affect the validity of the repealed Emirates law, but includes actions taken by the governor, such as assenting to the law and reappointing Sanusi." Well, Justice Liman mentioned that he had reviewed audio recordings of the governor, both in Hausa and English, following the law's assent. He was convinced that the respondents were aware of the court's order to maintain the status quo pending the hearing and determination of the motions on notice in the court. He emphasized the seriousness of flouting court orders and the need for compliance. He actually also did say that he was going to evoke coercive powers. But the story took another turn when Kano state government insisted that the 16th Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, remains the Emir following right after Thursday's ruling in the court. What is going on in Nigeria, truly? What is going on? We seem to be going back to the days of jungle. I don't even know what to call it. That we are not, the courts are saying, institutions are saying something, government is saying another thing, and everybody is just doing things the way they deem fit. Oh well, we have with us in the studio Barrister Darlington Agunwo. Thank you, Barrister, for staying with us.
Yeah, Moses.
And we also have joining us virtually Chukwuma Okoro, a journalist and a public affairs commentator. Well, thank you very much, Chukwuma, for joining this conversation.
Good morning, Moses. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Good morning.
Well, good to have you, really, because we've been trying to get your thoughts on a lot of issues right from the beginning of the week, but for one reason or the other, the elements or the forces that be have prevented us. But it's good to have you today, at least. Now, Chukwuma, let me start with you now. With what is going on in Kano State, how much respect do we have for rule of law in this country? It seems to be depleting by the second.
Moses, when you talk about the respect for the rule of law, the question that comes to my mind immediately is whether the people that make the rules have respect for themselves. If the people that make those laws have respect for themselves, then it will embolden the practitioners and the interpreters to respect that law. That is to tell you how low we have gone. I think we are in the lowest of our lows, that even legal practitioners are confused, talk much less, legal unlearned minds like us, because it's from one legal decision to another counter decision, to the point that unless you put your ears to the ground, or if you go back to school, you can't even understand what is going on. And sometimes I look at it and see it as something that tries to, as an exercise that tries to refine our democracy to the extent that, yes, we have different views and different legal opinions. But my worry is that underneath, there are political influences fueling these legal interpretations.
Yeah, talking about the political...
Because I don't understand.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Sorry, David. Yes, I see political influences, political interference, in all these legal decisions. And that is what worries me. In the last 2 weeks or so, since this issue came to the open, we have had many court decisions, including one that was issued by a judge from far away United States, as we were told, in the dead of the night. And you expect people to respect such laws. That's why my opening statement was, the people that make these laws and the people that interpret these laws, how have they respected themselves in their actions and now demand others, the observers, the implementers, to respect the laws that they have made. They have not. So it's a whole lot of numbo jumbo here and there that there is confusion. But let me come back to the political interference. A court of competent jurisdiction gives an order and says, look, we have made null and void the law assented to by a governor because it's inconsistent with the letters of our law. And the governor immediately says, no, we will not respect that court decision. Our decision on the emirship stands.
And that brings me to this question now to you, Mr. Chukwuma. As this tussle is happening in Kano State, which party has the right to decide on who happens to be the emir in the state? Is it the court? Is it the governor? What does the Constitution say about it?
Fina, I think the issue is this. It's so complicated because it is the right of the governor to appoint the local government and chieftaincy affairs is under the office of the governor. Duly placed under the office of the governor. But we have a situation where the democracy we practice says that when the legislature makes laws, the executive interprets the law. Yeah. But in case there is a conflict of understanding between the people that made the law and the people that interpret it, we have a resort to the court to interpret these laws. And unfortunately, what the court says is final. If this case now goes on from now to the appeal court and to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court decides that, look, this is our position on this matter. What the Supreme Court decides is final, and the governor wouldn't have a say. So right. If you ask me interpretatively, it is the court that have the final say.
Now bring it back to Dr.
I go back to my concern.
Right. Yeah.
I go back to my concern. My concern now is that the courts have been ambushed by politicians, and that is why we see these political interferences. Because I don't want to believe that the judges that are giving all these discordant decisions do not know the appropriate thing to do. They know, but they are under the influence of the executive. That is my worry.
Interesting. Now, Barrister, at this point, you just heard Mr. Chukwuma lay it out the way I was even going to ask you. But then, the very important part of this conversation is what then happens to the Emirates in Kano, knowing fully well that this is about one of the oldest when it comes to a traditional state in Nigeria, even across Africa. What is the implication of this judgment?
Over 100 years.
David, whenever you want to destroy an institution, this is how you start. At the end of the day, Kano State Emirate will never be the same again. Never. Because Ganduje started this thing. When he removed Sanusi, he now balkanized the Emirates into 5 districts, which is unheard of. And because he had the quasi power of the gun and all that, nobody saw what was wrong with that. Nobody. Because the man they put there, Bayero, was just there. They just put him there to answer yes or to the governor. They don't want people like Sanusi, who has a mind of his own. That was why they did that thing, without thinking of the implication. Later, down the line, something must give. And that was one of the reasons why the new governor, Yusuf, now said, no, this thing was wrong. Remember very well that when Sanusi was removed, the court said, no, don't take that action. The court told the governor then, Ganduje. Did he listen to it? No, the answer is no. Where was that court that time that did not reprimand the governor? That, look, you flattered the order of the court. As at that time, it was all well and good because they are in power. They are in power at that time. You can see now that their obedience or court order depends on where you belong politically.
So that shows, are you repeating on now that the integrity of the courts now in Nigeria cannot even be defined?
It cannot, even the outgoing CJN, did he not say it? He said it when you're in his valedictory speech.
So where does the fate of an average Nigerian lies now? Because we know that the court actually should be the only thing that Nigerians or every individual should run to when you feel you're being shortchanged.
My dear, yesterday when I was on my program, I said it that look, the NJC and the NBA, all the stakeholders in the legal profession, they should come together and rescue our court, even up to the Supreme Court. Because if we all keep quiet, this thing will, in fact, it will become worse than this. Because even market women they now denigrate our courts. Market women. If you see how they are interpreting court decision, you'll be laughing.
Barrister.
So when you now go out and say you're a lawyer, they'll just look at you and say, look at you. Are you not the people spoiling Nigeria? It's so embarrassing.
Barrister.
Like now, hold on, Moses. Look at the type of injunction or ruling the Justice Lima made. He said that the governor has the right that the repeal law he made is valid.
That's what I'm coming to, actually.
But he was wrong in assenting to it. You repeal a law because you want to correct an injustice. So how can he now say yes, he has the right to repeal that law, but he cannot take action? So why did you not repeal it? Look at the contradiction.
Okay, Barrister, this gets even more confusing, and I would like both you and Mr. Okoro to respond to this. So, Mr. Okoro, please do take a listen as I quote the Commissioner of Justice and Attorney General of Kano State, Haruna Dederi. After that ruling, he's quoted as saying that this part of the judgment is very fundamental to the entire matter. A further implication of the ruling is that all actions done by the government before the emergence of the interim order of the Honorable Court are equally validated. He says this means that abolishing the 5 emirates created in 2019 is validated, and the deposition of the 5 emirs is also sustained by the Federal High Court. He goes on to say that by implication, this means that Muhammadu Sanusi II remains the emir of Kano.
Of course.
The judge also granted our application for the stay of proceedings until the Court of Appeal deals with the appeal before it on jurisdiction. How confusing
can this be?
Can this truly
in fact,
be, Barrister?
Yesterday I was very angry, seriously. This is an embarrassment. It's like what one woman, one other judge said in Rivers State, that lawmakers who told you that they have left PDP, the judge said, no, they have not left, they are still in PDP. And I was asking myself, are you the one that left? It's the same thing. That means the target is Sanusi. It's as simple as that. The target is Sanusi. They don't want him.
Okay.
There's no other way to describe this.
Okay.
Because if you say
in attacking an individual, are we not mutilating tradition,
that
mutilating
is what I'm
culture?
telling you. That there is no other reason. The target is Sanusi, who has a mind of his own. In fact, that man is not even supposed to be an emir. He's supposed to be somewhere in the UN.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
Let me come to Mr. Chukwuma Okoro now. Still quoting the Attorney General of Kano State and Commissioner of Justice, he also said, happily, the signing of the law and the reinstatement of His Highness Emir Muhammadu Sanusi II were done on the 23rd of May 2024, before the emergence of the interim order, which was served on us on Monday, 27th of May. The commissioner told journalists, because it was done before the emergence of the interim order, he's saying that is the status quo that should be returned, that should be returned to. But we're also hearing that Aminu Ado Bayero has been reinstalled. And then the governor has also come out to say that, look, a part of that later yesterday evening, the governor did say that the the Kano State government will go ahead to demolish some section of Aminu Ado Bayero's palace
They mean-
because of dilapidated, because they are dilapidated, they have some walls falling, so they want to bring it down.
Yes.
What does this portend really for
yes.
peace and unity in Kano State?
Moses, you see, in summary, everything has gone back to what I said, the complication in the in the interpretation of the law by people who are supposed to tell us the actual position of the law. There's already a confusion. But like I said, underneath, there are subterranean political influences, and that is what is playing out. It's as simple as that. You know, we have a court judgment. The Attorney General himself has given it the interpretation that suits the government. The other people are giving it the interpretation that suits them. Now, the governor says Sanusi Lamido stays. And on the other hand, they want to go and demolish part of Bayero's palace because they are dilapidated and things like that. What is that supposed to be? They just want to incapacitate the man. So the whole thing has come back to that executive political interference that I talked about. And because I also wanted, at a point I got confused and I wanted to ask the judge, what is the status quo? Which status quo is the judge talking about? Because the status quo is that a certain emir has been deposed and another one installed, and somebody, an individual, went to court. He went to court and obtained an ex parte injunction restraining the court, restraining the government from dissolving the 5 council emirates that were created by the previous administration. And within that, before the ex parte judgment was given, just like the Attorney General said, Sanusi had already been installed.
Exactly.
So what is the status quo in this case?
Exactly.
Because if there's anything like that, there are many status quos, or there are many status quo. So which one do you take now? And the state government has taken the one that suits it. Incidentally, they have the instrument of coercion. They have the instrument of power. They have control of legitimate violence. But again, are they able to hold it to the end? Like what is happening in Rivers?
Yes.
A court has dissolved the local council, their expirations, their tenure has expired, and the state governor inaugurated new caretaker committees. And all of a sudden, the police that is supposed to be under the control of the governor is preventing the new caretaker committee members from assuming office. So you see the voice of Jacob and the hand of Esau. The governor is in power, but somebody elsewhere is using the instrument of coercion to stop him from carrying out his duties. That is the whole confusion. And I keep hammering that these things have political influences. It's not as if the judiciary that they don't know what to do, but they are under influence.
Okay, talking about
that is what has brought.
Talking about the judiciary being influenced and political undertone, this denigration of our law and order has been well pronounced in the APC administration. Some are saying that the APC administration, I mean the previous administration, we saw a situation whereby court orders were not respected. The court says release a person, the government ignores and the person stays in detention. The court says let this person go. DSS, which is an arm of government, also ignores and keeps the person regardless, and they go and continue bringing up cases to they take it from one court to another to ensure that the person stays there. We've gone from that to a situation whereby the courts themselves are giving contradicting judgments, and we see that it's beginning to affect the sensibilities of Nigerians. It's beginning to affect the peace and unity previously experienced in certain climes. Now, it's also given the impression that the judiciary is under the APC chokehold. How do you react to that, seeing that it's the government that is in power?
Moses, it's a mockery of the judiciary. Unfortunately, these people told us that they are progressive and they come for change. Yet, we didn't see any. Like you just mentioned, this thing has become so pronounced under APC. The level of impunity and arrogance is unbearable. Very, very unbearable. For example, what right has an IGP, what right has he got to go and seal up a local government office?
Under orders from Abuja.
Can you just imagine?
But we have the opinion that the
Without
loss
a
of
court
security
order.
personnel in River State and also a vigilante man also died due to the tussle for the local government chair, between the local government chair
Entering the
and-
offices.
Between the offices.
Please, at what point did our police become so proactive that when somebody died, they will not go and seal up a local government?
What happened in Abuja also pointed out that when EFCC wanted to arrest the former governor of Kogi State, and then the police also, which happened to be another arm of the government, stopped that from happening.
Good. So what I'm not telling you is that, look, police cannot pick and choose what enforcement they will carry out or not. What I'm saying is, if there is breakdown of law and order, there are process and procedures. It is the president who will say, go and do this, based on this and that or that. The problem in River did not escalate to all the local governments. It did not. Besides, it's a question of telling the local government chairman, my friend, your term have expired or you leave office. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
So by you now going there to barricade, that means you are telling them to remain in office when their term have expired. Is that not illegality on its own? So what role is the police playing by barricading illegality? Instead of issuing a simple word, leave the office, your term have expired.
So bringing it back to this conversation, Barrister, what legal action can be taken to those who flout the law? And what potential consequences does all of this connote?
David, you are asking a very tough question. In Nigeria, no consequences. That is why it has been happening repeatedly. No consequences. This one now that Liman is saying he wants to punish the executive in Kano for flouting court order. I just mentioned, when the court told them not to remove Sanusi, did they obey them? Why was there no consequences? That's what we are saying here. Besides, if you trace it, the action had been taken before the order from Liman came, because he was not in Nigeria at that time. Somebody told him. Of all the courts in Kano and in Nigeria, they didn't see anybody. It has to be Liman. What does that tell you? So when they are shopping for somebody who will do their bidding, that's what they do. They can even resurrect a dead one and say, come and carry out this job. That's what they did to Justice Ikpeme, who are not June 12th. And now the woman died miserably.
Okay.
So what I'm telling you is that it's not about the court, it's about the influence. We no longer have the likes of Justice Toputa, Justice Kayode Esho and all that, who will tell the military to their face, to hell with you.
Talking about that now, to you, Mr. Chukwuma Okoro, the NNPP presidential candidate for just the 2023 concluded election, I'm talking about Rabiu Kwankwaso, have also alleged that a particular faction in the National Assembly is telling the president to declare state of emergency in Kano State because of this emirate tussle. Also in River State, there are also another faction calling for state of emergency in River State. My question now to you is this the line to toe? Is this the better line to toe in handling this issue of tussle in Kano or in River State?
Fina, you see, some problem. The problem we have with some of our political actors is that they are so. How can I? Is it ignorant? I wouldn't say that they are ignorant, but they are so overtaken by insensitivity that to the point that sometimes they are so unthinking. They are so unthinking. Because I listened to the APC call for state of emergency in Rivers State. How do you call for a state of, when do you call for a state of emergency? Is it not when there is a total breakdown of law and order? You know, so you discover that APC just overreached themselves by telling Nigerians that this is what they have been working towards, right from the time this tussle between Wike and Fubara started. They have been working towards that. You know, they want to ambush Sim Fubara and the PDP. They want to cause confusion. They want to start, like we say, katakata, wahala, you know, rofo fight between people in Rivers State, so that the federal government will declare a state of emergency in Rivers State, knowing well or thinking that when that happens, that they are going to appoint somebody under who has Wike's ears. And that is what members of the National Assembly are thinking too. And like I said, it's so unthinking for them, you know, strategically. How can you start talking about state of emergency at this moment?
But the National Assembly seems divided here. Now that you mention, sorry to interrupt you. Now that you mention the National Assembly, they seem divided because we have the G60 part of the Assembly giving the governor of Rivers State the thumbs up for actions that he has taken. Do you think the call for a state of emergency would even hold water?
How will it hold water when how will it hold water? What has happened in Rivers State that calls for a state of emergency? It's just that there's a certain set of people, the local government chairman, the local government chairman are disobeying a court order, and they are being pushed by certain powers from Abuja.
So are you saying that the National Assembly members are being insensitive?
All right, before we move it from Kano State to Rivers State,
because we still have it in Kano State too.
let's not leave where
yes, you know, because, and I wanted to ask, for you killed somebody, like Fina said, that somebody was killed in the process of trying to secure the local government, you know. And I say, of all the people that have been killed in Borno, of all the people that have been killed in Katsina, of all the people that have been kidnapped and attacked and killed, soldiers attacked, their vehicles destroyed, has the president declared a state of emergency in any of those northern states? And members of the National Assembly don't see this, when in fact that should be their persistent call for a state of emergency to be declared in those terror-prone areas, so that the government can sit down and look at these things holistically. So that's why I said sometimes they are so insensitive that they overreach themselves in their unthinking manner.
Now, there is some peculiarity between these two states, and let's bring it back to Kano State. Do you think, from what you're saying, do you think that the federal government seems to have a hand in all of this, maybe for political reasons, maybe because these states also deliver the votes? I'm looking forward to 2027. Do you also share this thought by some quarters?
You see, why the Kano issue is it's somehow dicey. It's difficult to put a finger. It's difficult to put a finger on that, except that we don't know that the presidency has been able to manage it, to compose its body language as far as Kano is concerned, to kind of stay aloof. They have not stepped in, no statements to the best of my knowledge, no nudging of any quarters. They have just like said, okay, let's see how people resolve this. And remember what Buba Galadima said last week. He asked he asked President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to stay clear of Kano, to stay off Kano, you know, because it has the potency, you know, it can destroy him and whatever happens to the North in 2027. So, David, for now, it's difficult for me to put a finger on the activities of the federal government.
Okay.
But all I know is that whether it is from the state or from the federal or known, as I say now, there are political influences controlling whatever is going on in Kano State. And it is the struggle for the soul of the emirate. Mm-hmm. Some people want it balkanized, some people want it to stay, for reasons best known to them. Like Dr. Agomo said, it's unheard of. I wouldn't quite agree that it's unheard of. Empires rise and fall. Empires rise and fall. We had the Austro-Hungarian Empire that lasted for a very long time. At a point, we had Austria and Germany together. Those empires were broken and divided. At a point, we had the unification of Germany that 31 different states in 1787 came together to form what we have presently as Germany. We have Yugoslavia balkanized. So empires rise and fall. It's a historical progression of mankind, you know, because of interactions of whatever forces here and there.
Okay.
So if they pursue it consistently and want Kano Emirate to be balkanized, historically, it will happen.
Okay.
One day.
All right.
Because of those forces at play, it might happen.
Okay.
Not in our time, but if they pursue it consistently, they might come to that.
Okay, Barrister, this before you give us your concluding thought, the Nigerian Bar Association, their secretary Akore Dere have also told us that they set a panel to look into the lawyers and the judges that have given conflicting judgments on this Kano State Emiratozo. Do you think we're going to get the glimpse of that judgment after the panel must have deliberate on why and what led to these people giving us conflicting judgment in Kano State?
In fact, the NBA and even the CJN, I mean the NJC, they've not been acting the way I feel they should. They have not been punishing errant members of the institution. They have not. Remember, let me just give you a simple example. In the UK, the lawyer that handled the Ibori's case was sent to jail with Ibori because he wanted to compromise the UK judiciary. He was sent to jail. They didn't bother. Here, there are certain lawyers and SAN who cannot, no matter what they do, it's on record. Even when they have committed several infractions, they will just talk and nothing happens. That is why they have continued in that trajectory. But let me even correct certain things. What is going on here is a traditional institution. If the Kano Emirate go down, it will affect a lot of things in the north. Because traditionally, you have a large number of houses in Kano. Remember that the Fulanis took over Kano by force. The houses were there before the Fulanis came. The first Fulani man that took over was in 1807. And since that time, they created Emirate Council in all the northern states. So, Kano State is seen as the traditional place of the houses. That is why you have the Kwakwanso holding sway in Kano. Because the Hausa man. So, what they are trying to do in Kano, if they succeed, I am telling you, in future, somebody may try to reverse it. Is that what we are going to have? Is that what we are going to be seeing? Remember that when when Bayero was deposed, the man quietly left. Oh, there was no argument. He didn't say anything. He left. They gave him 48 hours. He left.
You're talking about Sanusi or Bayero?
No, I mean Bayero, yes. When the new governor deposed him, the man did not even bother.
He wasn't even in Nigeria at the time.
Sorry?
He wasn't even in Nigeria.
Good, but the fact that he left, there was no issue. Are you going to say? It was later that we had that the National Security Advisor, who happened to be his cousin, mobilized security agent, and they led him back to the place. What does that tell you? So the hand of the federal government is in this matter. Cure ED.
All right,
because
then.
I told you, they don't want a Sanusi
All right,
who will have a mind of his own. They don't want him.
Barrister, we have to wrap this conversation
Even the decision taken so far, you know that Sanusi is the target.
Okay, Barrister, thank you very much for your thoughts there. But we are continuing into another conversation. Mr. Okoro, we'd like you to give us your concluding thoughts in less than 60 seconds. But as you do so, I would like for you to touch on events in Kaduna where former governor El-Rufai has been indicted in a 423 billion or million? Billion naira scandal.
Moses, thanks very much. My final thought on the Kano issue is that it's unfortunate. Like I always play on my background. I'm a historian, so I understand these things very well. You know, globally, even in Europe, and I did a little bit of European history. So sometimes I use Europe to cite my instances. You know, empires rise and fall. before the Kano Emirate came, there was an empire already existed. Like Barrister Gomo said, there was a Hausa Empire. There was Kanem Bono Empire. All those empires have fallen. The British Empire controlled more than 3/4 of the world. At a point, it came to an end.
Yes.
So if the people, if there are forces that are determined to crumble the Kano Empire, they will not care about any consequence it has in the north. That is the progression of history. It happened in Kosovo and Albania, between Serbs and Albanians, who had, let me not go into all that history, but what I'm trying to say is that empires rise and fall. That is it. The people of Kaduna State,
Yes.
it's a very simple thing. If El Rufai has been indicted, or if it was 427 million naira, I could have just let him do plea bargaining and return the money. But we are talking about 427 billion naira. Man, that is huge.
Is it really huge?
If it's,
When Aline Dume says until it gets to a particular amount, that is when you can call people in. Trillion now. That was what the chief whip of the federation talked about.
no, we don't. People like me don't take Aline Dume serious, so I'm not going to reference him in whatever I say. You know, so it is huge. The AFCC should go into action and recover as much as they can. Not just recovering the money. Justice must be seen to be done in that matter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chukwuma Okoro. We'll go into another conversation now. Now we're talking about debt. Nigeria's debt has increased further, and there was an increase within a 3-month period. How does this impact on the budget? How does this impact on development in Nigeria? How does this impact on the lives of Nigerians? Let's have this conversation when we come back from this break.